Good morning. This is Rusty Cates, WMAN. We're going to talk about the Phoenix Brewing Company. Perhaps you've heard of it. I'm sure you will. It's a microbrewery starting in downtown Mansfield. Duncan Macfarlane, master brewer, is here in the studio along with Steve Zigmund, one of the partners. There are more than just two of you. Steve, how many in all?
There's actually four of us involved in getting this put together, and we've been working hard, and we're excited to get it open, and people have been telling us they're excited to have us open. So
what's it look like as far as opening? I know with any business, especially when it's food-related, there are a lot of hoops to jump through.
Well, we're hoping to open yet this fall. If we can't make it this fall, certainly be there this winter. We're dedicated to the project. You mentioned food. We're not going to actually have food in what you think of as the traditional food. We're going to offer food through food trucks. We're going to do something working with Two Cousins Pizza to offer their pizza, either by the slice right there at the brewery, or a special deal where you can order pizza through them and it'll be delivered over to the brewery.
There is a sign on the back of the Diamond Street location where you're working that says coming this fall, something like that, which leaves it open. And I've heard of October 1st at one point and then November 1st. And like you said, maybe winter. You have to make sure you do it right when you open up for the first time like this. So where are you located and how'd you find the building?
We're down on 131 North Diamond Street. And we had looked at several buildings, and we found this building, and it's a nice standalone brick building. It's an older building, got a lot of history to it, and it's just a neat-looking facility. And the space was just about right for what we were looking for. It had space for the brewing equipment, as well as for a space for the bar, for the people to come in and try our beer, as well as other beers that we're going to offer there. So it'll be operated just like any other bar you think of. It's just we call it a tasting room, but it really is just a bar. We'll offer our beers, a variety of other craft beers, possibly some other bottled beers and some wines.
What are some of the steps you have to take to finally be open?
Well, there's a lot you have to go through with licensing through the state and through the federal, and it just takes time. Typically, 3 months is not uncommon turnaround for the licensing applications to be approved.
Will the entrance be off of Diamond?
Actually, we're going to encourage people to park on the brickyard out behind the building and come in from the back because it's safer, it's better parking, it's very well lit, and there'll be a nice staircase coming in from the back.
Steve, I went down there a few days ago to take a look at your progress, and I don't remember seeing a door on the back wall. Better.
It's disguised as a piece of plywood right now.
Oh, that's why. Okay. Well, steps are being taken to transform what I'd heard this used to be a funeral home or something many years ago.
A mortuary, that's true.
All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Phoenix Brewing Company, our guests, Steve Zigmund and Duncan Macfarlane. Well, let's talk about the beer. When did you get pulled into this idea? Did you know these fellows before this idea took off?
Certainly a lot of things have come together to get to this point. I will say I started homebrewing. The four of us are homebrewers. I started homebrewing back in 1999, joined the Mansfield Brew Club not too long after there.
Mansfield Brew Club?
I've been on and off member of the Mansfield Brew Club since about 2000. Really had no desire really to open up a brewery, but some things came together. One of the partners is a silent partner at the moment. But he had an idea to open up a bar in Mansfield, and once we started looking around the state, we started visiting breweries. Things started to come together as far as a business model. This is really working in other towns, and but once we found the building, that really sealed the deal because it's really a neat building, and the renovation that we're doing to it to bring it back to an original, basically its original look. It's really going to be a nice ambiance down there, so we're excited about that.
Discussing the future Phoenix Brewing Company and guests in the studio to do that. You mentioned other cities that have a microbrewery at this point. You go to the Akron area, I think they have 6 or 7. Columbus probably has a dozen that fall under that classification. So it's about time, and many people will remember the Wooden Pony, which I think was probably ahead of its time. It may have opened up a couple of years too soon, and people weren't ready for it at that point.
Well, that's a good point. I think the Wooden Pony closed down right around 2004, and about that same time, there were some changes in Ohio law which allowed basically at that time, beer could not be sold over 6% alcohol. After that point, the law changed, and it really opened up distribution into Ohio of different types of beers, and that's kind of what happened. People kind of followed along with what was available in the stores, And certainly there's a secondary movement now with craft breweries opening up with some other changes in licensing. Licensing's gotten a little bit cheaper, and that's another reason we came into this. There were some other factors involved there. So.
Well, Duncan Macfarlane, joining us here on the mic, is going to be the master brewer for the Phoenix Brewing Company. What are some batch ideas that you have in mind? Are we going to start out? Maybe you have some house varieties that you plan on brewing over and over again, and also do the seasonal thing.
Exactly. We do basically have 4 beers that we intend tentatively to start with. Traditional ales, maybe an oatmeal stout, an American wheat, an English bitter, and, of course, an India Pale Ale. That's a very popular style now. After we start with those 4, we do hope to expand to 6 taps, and especially do the spring seasonals. But we hope to get to that. We get to that point, we'll have a seasonal, and we will rotate with experimental beers. We are doing small batches. Basically, we can do what we want and get feedback from our customers. And
Duncan Macfarlane joining us, but looking forward to this. Let's ask about the name, the Phoenix Brewing Company. While I can understand what it's all about, were there some other names out there? Steve, go ahead and tell us how you came up with this.
We actually brought in a marketing expert and had him give us some ideas. We wanted to kind of embrace the mortuary, the building that we're in, and we didn't really like any of the ideas we were getting from the marketing expert. We paid him for his time, and then we sat down between the 4 of us for an evening, and several hours later we came up with the Phoenix, and it took us a long time to come to, over several weeks, if not months, to find the name. It's, obviously the Phoenix rising up from the ashes, the rebirth of brewing in the Mansfield area. We're redoing the building, so again, the building's coming back out of the ashes, and with the mortuary, the whole ashes thing kind of ties in there a little bit too.
Great.
So,
and you have a logo. I've seen it on T-shirts, on your banner. I wasn't sure whether it was a bird or a raptor. I want to think it's maybe a raptor or something. What is that, Duncan?
well, it is a bird, but it represents the phoenix, and it is in a skeletal form, as showing it is rising recently risen out of the ashes.
It's cool. Yeah, it is very cool.
It may change a little bit over time as we get closer to opening.
What about names for beers? Will they be Mansfield names, more of a mortuary names? What are you thinking?
We've talked about doing a blend of the two, actually, where maybe our specialty beers take on the Mansfield names and our regular ones are the mortuary, or vice versa. So we're not really sure on the names, though, yet. We've discussed it. That might actually prove to be more difficult than naming the business itself. So,
when you do open, what are you thinking about as far as operating hours for the tasting room?
To start with, we're going to start with just Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, opening up earlier on Saturday and then just Thursday and Friday evenings. And then as we figure out the demand and as we can catch up on the beer supplies, we'll open up a few more days maybe, but time will tell.
All right, we are closing out this segment, and people are going to say to me now, okay, so when are they opening? Roughly, what do you think? Could it be in December, you think?
We certainly hope it can be possibly even November, but more realistically, maybe December. It's tough to tell with all the construction we've got going on right now. So.
What do you have yet to do down there? What are you working on at this point?
We actually just got windows in last week. The electricians are starting today. They're pouring concrete out front today, so there should be some activity going on today. We're still yet to find someone to do the heating and cooling. I mean, remember when we got this building, it was literally a shell of just brick walls and concrete floors. So there's no utilities at all in there. So everything's got to be done from scratch, which is kind of nice because we designed it with the architect to meet our specific needs for the brewery. So,
is there anything now on site that looks like brewing equipment, Duncan?
Well, a lot of the actual brewing equipment that we have purchased is off site. There will be there's a lot of things we need to get in there, back bar, the bar itself, certainly the furniture. There's a lot of things that will go in toward the end of this project. And
I should wrap up by asking, you guys probably have other jobs that you're doing. You're trying to make this work in the midst of carrying on what was a normal life until Phoenix Brewing Company came along.
Normal jobs during the day, correct. That will go on.
And you're from out of Mansfield, or you?
Live in Mansfield. I work in Marion.
Okay.
Yes, I live in Mansfield. I've lived here most of my life. Yeah.
Well, Duncan, thanks for coming in today.
Well, thank you for
having
having
this
us.
whole sheet of notes. Was there something I didn't ask you about?
Well, I not really. You ask about anything going to look brewery related, but I wanted to touch on some things we're doing, kind of in the reuse theme. We actually, a friend of ours donated bowling alley in sections. We're actually using them as tabletops. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yes.
That's what we're working on right now. I was
Okay.
sanding them this Saturday and staining them. Steve and I were both working on that project. So there's going to be some things that you may recognize that, and as far as the recipes, we do plan on using some local ingredients and that kind of thing. So.
Okay, Steve, have you tried Duncan's beers?
Yes.
Before? Okay, so maybe I was going to ask Duncan, but it might be better to ask you. So does he like the dark roasted, over hoppy? Do you have a...
All of his beers are fantastic, which is why we chose him as the head brewmaster, obviously. But I think he tends to lead towards the hop-forward ones, the pale ales, the IPAs. Mm-hmm. So, and he does all styles very well. His Christmas ale is phenomenal.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll get open by Christmas, so we can crack open or pour a Christmas ale and toast in the new year with the Phoenix Brewing Company. Wonderful to talk to you guys. Anytime something new happens, give me a shout, and we'll tell our listeners about it.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yep, thanks for having us.
Yeah, Steve, Zigmund and Duncan Macfarlane. Was there another name you can toss out that's not the silent partner?
Josh Beard.
Well, best of luck to all of you involved in bringing about the Phoenix Brewing Company in the old mortuary on Diamond Street, just a couple of doors south of Home and Kitchen Supply on the same side of the street. I'm Rusty Cates. Now at 6:52, we will be back with entertainment and health news after this short break.